Angelica asks, do you mind sharing who you're talking about in reference to the videos that deal with natural ways to combat depression? So I mentioned in that video that I had went to someone's resources, compiled some resources on my own, and that those resources were very helpful. And she was asking me what I did in that vein. How did my baseline blah change, if at all, after becoming a mother? And then she talked about having seasonal sadness and baseline blah. Being social can be a major struggle. It's literally physically draining. However, being a mom means that you now have the responsibility to get up and take care of someone else. You have to pour into someone else, and you now have to get up and get moving to accommodate your child's schedule. And so she wanted me to weigh in on that, and I just felt like I could right now. So let's do it. Okay, first question. Do I mind sharing who I'm talking about when I reference videos that deal with natural ways to combat depression? Yes, I can share that with you just fine. I share about him all the time. Clearly, this is not medical advice. I am just sharing my experiences. Please check with your medical doctors before you take on any kind of supplementation or program. You know, do what's best for you. This is just me sharing what I did. So I really enjoy Dr. Berg on YouTube. I have been watching him for many years now. I stumbled on him because of a comment on Instagram. I wish I could thank that person because they literally changed my life. I went to his channel on YouTube, I looked him up, and I researched his keto stuff back then. I did exactly what he said to do with my eating, and the physiological components of my depression lifted. I actually did a video about it years ago called Keto Cured My Depression. I'll put a link to that down below. In the update video, I referenced Dr. Berg again, and what I was talking about in that update video is how currently any depression that I feel is situational or hormonal and nowhere near as deep as it used to be. The physiological components of depression that seem to be linked to carb consumption, I don't know, that's just my body that had me in the deepest pit. Those places are no longer things I experience. So nowadays I have hormonal dips and I have situational dips. And the hormonal dips I have managed quite well with supplements. And someone asked me what supplements I take, and I made a video about that. It should be up already. I'll put a link to it down below. So what I did was, because I've trusted Dr. Berg's information so much in the past now, disclaimer, there have been some things about Dr. Berg that may not fly with me or with others. So let's just put that out there. I'm just saying the information about eating and health that he has provided has worked for me very well. I literally just went to his channel. I searched any video that had to do with hormones. I made a spreadsheet and I basically wrote down symptoms that he talked about that happen with hormones, and I wrote down what supplements or what specific things he was talking about could help with those symptoms, and then I bumped those up against my particular symptoms. I came up with my own supplementation regimen based off of what he said, and then I just bought them and I started taking them. And so in the depression update video, when I said I notice if I don't take my supplements, I can notice a difference, that's what I meant. So for example, a non-supplementation thing that he mentioned was about diminishing the amount of dairy that I eat. And when I started eating keto, I realized that I was not lactose intolerant, which I had thought for many, many years. There was something else going on, and I can eat dairy just fine without the disruption of my digestive system, which was mind-blowing. But he did recommend for something, I think it was estrogen, I don't remember, I don't have my spreadsheet, to lower the amount of dairy that you're eating. And so that was like, for example, so that was something that I intentionally incorporated. He also recommended supplements. Like I said, I'm not trying to tell you what supplements to take, but to answer your question, that's what I did. Went to his page, searched hormones, made a spreadsheet, looked at my symptoms, did what he said, felt much better. Still do it, feel great. The next question she asked is, how did my baseline blah change, if at any, after becoming a mother? So that's a complex question because I had so many components feeding into my depression. So, PTSD from things in my childhood that I didn't even know were PTSD, anxiety all through my childhood that I didn't even realize was anxiety, dissociated through my childhood as a trauma response that I didn't even realize. Like, these are things that I understood through therapy. And then situational things that happened. Like, for example, you guys know that my pregnancy with my son was very traumatic because my son was diagnosed with medical issues at my 20-week pregnancy mark, and the remainder of my pregnancy was very traumatic. And just lots of other situational things. Some I share with you guys, some I don't. And then, of course, the physiological stuff I told you guys about with respect to depression, having multiple people die in a 10-year span, back to back, averaging a person that I love dying every 8 months when I was like in my late teens and 20s. I mean, there's so many things that basically just tanked me into a pit. So when I had my son, I wouldn't say that my baseline blah went away, because it didn't. But what I will say is I think I dissociated because of necessity to care for my son. So at the point of having my son, I wasn't doing keto just yet. But like you said, you kind of have to get, like, you don't have to. There are people who are suffering with depression so deeply and so debilitatingly that they can't take care of their children. But I think I just checked out and went to a different place and realized this baby didn't ask to be here, and he has a lot of medical challenges. And I kind of went into like a checked out task mode and like a get her done mode. And for me, unfortunately, I look back at the early years of my son's life and realize that I was still not that present. In tandem, I was just beginning to do a lot of work realizing that I was dissociated in therapy. And so there was like this parallel experience of me like coming out of the fog, but also just in a dissociated task-based state. So my baseline blah did not change after becoming a mother, because I was very good at, and still can be very good at, checking out to get the task done. And unfortunately, that's what I did at the beginning of my son's life. I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, you look at it, right? Because I mean, I was present and I was doing what I have to do. In the same way that I get up and do virtual school with him right now. I'm very intentional about it. I don't like it one bit. I am not one of these people that's converted to like, oh, we're going to do homeschool. I love it. No, absolutely not. This is an act of love, and it's an act of intention. So when I'm having a hormonal baseline blah and I have to get up and do virtual school with my son, it's like I just kind of go to the place where I, reframe it, do all the things that I have to do, and get her done. Now, one of the things that I have matured into in my self-care journey, my growth journey, my mental health journey, is I'm very intentional about taking care of myself. Because one of the things that I realized was that I can't pour out of an empty cup, right? And so I was so focused, and a lot of us women, and Black women especially, we are socialized to take care of everyone else and prioritize everyone else. And so we aren't taking care of self. And I started to realize that I have to take care of Roshini first. Okay, it's like put your mask on first and then help the person, like they tell you on the plane. And so over the years, probably in my mid 30s, and now I'm in my mid 40s, so it's been a decade of this, I started being very intentional about caring for myself. I began with little small things, and it just grew and it grew and it grew. I mean, real talk, that's how my coaching practice began, because I just started doing these things. People started noticing it on the internet, and I started sharing little blips, and then people would like inbox me and write to me and be like, please tell me what you're doing. And so ultimately I started sharing with people what my journey was like. So to answer your question, I started prioritizing me, even kind of before my son, if I'm being honest. And socially, sometimes people make that seem like that's a bad thing. But once again, I can't pour out of an empty cup. And my son is getting a better version of his mom. And therefore, he is getting a better childhood and better mothering and better parenting. And he is receiving a better version of life because I am more present and willing to take care of me. Okay, let's see if I'm forgetting anything. She said being social can be a major struggle for her. It's literally physically draining. Yes. And I think that for people who are introverts, it's clearly physically draining. I am actually an introvert. I've been told that I'm an ambivert, and I'll allow it. It's absolutely true. But I like to be by myself. Like, it's Saturday right now. Saturday is the one day that my husband takes my son gets him up in the morning, puts him to bed, and he does all of his care needs for the day. And when I tell you the way that I lock myself away, it's a wonderful, I feel it right now. It was a good day. I love the alone time. And I had to leave the house yesterday, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't like, I think I posted on Facebook, some of y'all ain't never gonna see me again, because this leaving the house thing is for the birds. Like, I don't want it. So I get that physical interaction can be draining. I'm good at physical interaction though. I'm definitely not the type of introvert that's like, I don't know what to say. I'm kind of weird and awkward in physical situations. I'm not that person. I'm kind of like the chatty life of the party when I need to be, but also like sometimes I don't want to be, and I'm standing in the corner just staring at people, and it can at times be extremely draining, especially in the middle of a planetarium where we all are going through these crazy stressors, and you have an underlining baseline blah already. And if you don't know what I mean about what she means about baseline blah, I'll put 2 videos for you to watch, specifically the one where I explain the concept of baseline blah so that you could have a better context of what she's even talking about and what I'm talking about. And so she says here, however, being a mom means that you have responsibility to get up and take care of someone else. It does. But you know what you have? You know who you have responsibility to get up and take care of first? You first, then your kids. You have to pour into someone. Exactly. And so make sure that you have something in you to pour. You now have to get up and get moving to accommodate your kid's schedule. Exactly. And so I kind of address that in saying that the first person you need to get up and have responsibility for is you. Single, mom, or not. And you have to fill yourself to be able to pour. And so that would be what I would focus on if you're not already doing that intentionally. It looks like curating your world and your space and honoring yourself enough to take time to value and take care of yourself, to dig into your mental health, to dig into your physical health, to dig into your psychological health, to dig into your spiritual health, to build connections in these places, to figure out who you are, to know who your identity is, to aim toward things that are of value to you, to set aside quiet time, to get your there are so many small things. Like I said, I've been on this journey for 10 years and it's been absolutely wonderful and life-changing. And so hopefully that helps you. I mentioned that I do coaching. I'll put a link to my coaching stuff. You guys watch these videos so much later that I don't even know what my coaching offerings will be at the time. But when I put the video up, I'll put my current coaching offerings in the video information box. You should come work with me if you want to, hun, because I can help. And yeah, that's it. Me and my uncovered hair, y'all know I know how to base and abound, okay, are going to get off of Al Gore's internet for the evening. Leave your questions and comments down below, you guys, because you never know. Like Angelica, it may become the next video. And until that next video, be well, be encouraged. Here's a pineapple. Bye, y'all.